Welcome to Wake and Wellness. Today we have an amazing episode. I'm so excited to get into it. It's a pattern episode. I don't even want to talk too much about it. Let's just hop right into it. So today I woke up, I was asking for some guidance, and of course, some of the things that I was feeling and just could tell were in flux and just going through the ether. They are obviously here in the pattern. So let's get into it. February 6th through 11th. It's the new moon in Aquarius. So this is not just my specific pattern, this is everybody. So again, as you guys know, I talk about very often, it's very powerful and it's very connecting when you feel a cycle, which isn't just a personal pattern. That's already something that's powerful when you can tell some things that are about you, but in a very energetic sense. But then when you can see that in relation to the overall universal pattern and the cyclical changes that are happening and occurring, that's when things start to seem really magical. And that's what we're about to get into. So for February 6th through 11th, this Friday, the new moon will be in the part of the sky known as Aquarius. This is a time to embrace what makes you unique, access your purest emotions, and connect authentically with your community. This is everything we talk about. You already know. So this was very important when I woke up. Like I said, I was looking for guidance and I sort of just threw my mind out there into the collective and to sort of get a more general understanding of, like I said, those cyclical patterns and the things that were just out there and that I was feeling somewhat externally guided by. And that unique, we talked about the unique ability book in the last couple of episodes, even though we've been covering topics like giving or 𝗧𝗵𝗲, and we've been talking about living purposefully. So of course, your uniqueness is going to be so important because that's going to be how you not just decide, but ultimately it is decide and choose how you're going to give back and contribute to the world and give the essence of you that is only possessed by you. And within that, here it talks about connecting authentically with your community. Is that something that I did not know that I necessarily I needed but yearn for as well, to really have that place in that space where, like I said, my spiritual community somewhat crumbled a little bit after college, just because I didn't have so many of the people that I was talking to on that kind of level and talking about the things that me and those specific individuals and that ultimately that community or that network that I built had that connection talking about. And of course, as it says, accessing your purest emotions, I love that too, because that's all part of it, right? Being able to really sit in that and feel like Big Sean does that, life is a feeling process. So to be able to sit and still within a place and then see all that is actually happening around you and not actually to you, so that we can be aware. That's exactly what I did when I woke up. I just sat there still, and like I said, I opened my mind to the collective and opened it to what is out there I was gonna say out there and within, which is true, so I can actually see what has been influencing me and what has been calling me. And I was supposed to do the video before this one, but it doesn't too much matter. The next video that I'm going to make sure to do is going to be increasing our intuition through tarot cards. And whether or not you believe in tarot, it giving you the ability to see how our intention, our thoughts actually do have an effect on what it is that we call out to and what answers that call. So it's already starting off well. I love it. And it's already starting off, like I say, very in tune with, when you are in tune with yourself and you're in tune with your cycles. Sometimes it may even be difficult because you may be getting your personal cycles mixed up with that of the universal, and that which you are still within that. So, but again, there is going to be a difference between your personal cycles and that one being more of a reflection and mirroring that on the greater whole. But That's why I love the pattern, and that's why it's so important to understand our own personal cycles so that we can see how they were reflecting from that of the whole and how we can actually get more in tune with that, because that's all that's really happening. The theme of this month is about letting go of any doubts or insecurities that are holding you back from connecting with your heart and envisioning your most authentic future. Again, the pattern is just so always on point. Anybody or any reviews that you see on the pattern, you're gonna only see things about people saying, what is this pattern? Who makes this? Because they really, are they like behind, like in one, and threading existence, because you really, it does feel like it's reading into what's so personal, again, to you, especially when we're talking about personal cycles, but even to talk about the universal cycles so specifically in a way, whether you are a novice spiritualist, one who is in a tarot, any of those kind of things, you understand that there is some kind of strong connection that's happening and that they are giving light to. It's a time to get clear and objectively see the places where you're limiting or restricting yourselves, and to set intentions to rise above your fears. Everything I talk about is so important, but it's so much that we're gonna continue so that we can sort of walk through this. The more conscious you can be of the emotions you're feeding and transmitting out to the collective, the greater your impact can be on co-creating your future. Ideally, you and others around you can feel free to be yourselves and to live joyfully. All of these things, it's so beautiful, because again, each sentence connecting to the last and really understanding that this is everything that we always talk about. And that's why I always get so excited. Everything we always talk about goes into the other, right? Everything is always truly interconnected. And when we start to open ourselves more, that's when we start to actually see this unity, or this unit, this singular unit that is actually working in alignment for one specific goal, for evolution, for consciousness to become more conscious of itself, for awareness to, in a way, if we want to look at it, purify itself, which is just actualizing the self. Each of us in our own self actualizing and actually realizing the self, so that we can actualize and then start to aid others in doing that. And as we aid, and the more people we aid in doing that, the more we actualize ourselves, and that is the oversoul, or the soul of the world, and can act. I'm using actually way too much, but the soul of the world can truly begin to be defined through the work that the world servers are doing. And of course, it's going to happen joyfully because we're living in service. And I love that we just did the 𝗧𝗵𝗲 episode, and we talked about that quote of first I dreamed, and it's talking about thinking of knowing success on one level, and then actually discovering the meaning and purpose of life through fully being active. Then I wanted to be happy. Then I dreamed and I wanted to be happy. I'm butchering it, but then I dreamed to be happy. And then I really realized, or I dreamed of joy, but then I acted and I realized that service was joy. I do remember that part fully, and just because it's within the act that we are, and that isness is giving its life, or being birthed. It's in the planting of the seed that the seed actually starts to have the chance to go through the transformation, and that happens through the commitment of. But y'all know we done did that episodes back. But again, we're back. And no matter what we're talking about, we're getting back to the heart of it. We're getting back to the antahkarana, or the inner instrument, and connecting ourselves to, I was gonna say it's the soul's bridge, but it's the bridge between us and the soul, so that we can make that connection, and then we can say, I get it now. This is about service. How can I be of best service? That's the number one question any of us should be asking. How can I be of the best service that I possibly can to the world? And once we realize that, then we just gung-ho on that. For the rest of 2024, the dominant themes are going to be about change and progress. Love that. And experiencing new and unimagined ways of living. I almost love that even more. And it's funny again, because I was having these, and I've been masterminding with someone in my family on a plan so that we can be greater than we are in all areas, and not in the sense of saying, oh, now I got more money, I'm better than my old self, or now I have this, now I have these things, no, it's more of it's through that, again, through the planting of the seed. We've already now planted the seed, and now we're working these things through. And as we are doing that, our character is being challenged to figure out ways that it has not moved before. It has not worked out these kind of muscles before. It has not been introduced to this kind of training course. So through that, and through the rigorous training and dedication, it's the commitment that actually allows the transformation. Because then it says, wow, I never knew that this worked this way, or I had to give this to do this, and then it starts to learn. That's the soul learning. That's the character, that's the personality becoming refined, and the character becoming defined in who we truly desire to be. And so if we go back to that last slide and we talk about, we can feel free to be ourselves and to live joyfully, because we are deciding to walk within the path that we have chosen. And in that, and it's funny because that's how it always is. But too often, especially when we do the blame kind of situation, and we blame everything and play the victim, we don't remember, that's the right way to say this, we don't remember we consciously chose this somewhere. And whether or not we said today, oh, I choose that path 5 days from now, or I choose that, every day, every action, every thought, every movement that we are giving is making that choice. And so it got me teed up. But again, going back to that last slide, we are talking about, as I said, the greater our impact can be on co-creating our future. The more conscious we can be of the emotions we are feeding and transmitting out into the collective. This is what I'm feeding. This is what I'm transmitting. And I woke up like this, asking for the guidance. And so through asking for the guidance and gaining that guidance, I got to give some back. So here we are. This is me now talking about that guidance. So I can't remember who Les Brown said the quote is from, but like he said, we teach that which we need most. So here I am right here talking about it. It's not like I'm like, oh, I mastered it, let me just go ahead. No, it's through the action that the mastering can actually be. And so, like I said, y'all got me teed up. And so to go into the next slide. For the rest of 2020, we already did that, but I'm just going to go back through it because it's so powerful. The dominant themes are going to be about change and progress and experiencing new and unimagined ways of living. Pluto has just entered the sign of Aquarius, so this new moon is marking the beginning of a completely new phase. Excuse me. This is a moment to evaluate whether you're real quick, before I even go any further, real quick, just to go over that, Pluto has just entered the new sign. I think a lot of times people think like, oh my gosh, why do we think that the planets aligning like this or that is going to, okay, that's your zodiac, and how do you think that that really determines your personality? Well, first and foremost, and I could really just do a whole episode about this, so I'm just gonna give the real quick 20-second version of this. Point A, all is relevancy and all is relation. Point A is only point A in relation to any other point, or even the relation that there are no other points, that it is the first point. I'm about to take off. So in that same way as water or the oceans are affected by the moon, it is in the same way we are water, we are affected as the same way that gravity and all of these other forces are in relation to another. So I'm not even going to go any further than that, but I did want to just quickly brush over that so that anybody thinking like, oh, okay, like how is it even possible? I'm not trying to say like, oh, for the non-believers, no. For those that just truly question and say, how is it that the shifting of this planet would usher in some kind of new energy? Well, that's what's happening at all times. The sun gets a little bit closer, we may get a little bit hotter, and that's going to speed up the molecules, and we're going to start feeling a different way. People start acting different when it gets hot outside. People start acting different and a little bit more like this when it gets cold outside and more reserved. So we know these things. It's just sort of applying them on a greater scale while also not falling prone to fallacy as well. So, of course, as always, we say, you will have to discern. You have to discern. And awareness is key. This is a moment to evaluate whether you're expressing what sets you apart, and also to evaluate your relationship with your friends and community. Are you someone who's afraid to own what makes you different, weird, or even eccentric? Y'all know I'm reading this, I'm like, ooh, they're going crazy. And as they're saying this, I'm asking myself, because I'm talking about this now, finally. It's taken me about 9 to 10 years. I wanted to do this since I first watched Spirit Science or 𝗧𝗵𝗲 or Infinite Waters. And it took me this time because I felt like the things that I was diving into, anybody would be like, okay, obviously, I mentioned this, oh, you're crazy. But that was also already one of my fears before I ever even got into that was, being so interested in psychology while also being afraid of, the deterioration of my brain or intelligence, aka like schizophrenia, dementia, anything like that, because I value intelligence. And at one point that was at the forefront of what I valued about myself and somewhat who I thought I was, and I had pride in that. And so that was already one of my fears of being, I was already different, but then having some of these things, out-of-body experiences, we talk about telepathy all the time, just having certain shifts in consciousness, traversing planes, certain things, inner awakening, just to come in alignment or to come to understand some of your own personal faults, and then be able to talk to somebody else in the ways that you experience and the ways that was brought to life. People be like, dude, did you really think that you faced your demons in a real kind of, in a real way that they were personified? And if you say something that is just outside of what anybody else is able to conceptualize or see as real in the way that more than likely is actually happening within life, then you're outside the box and they're trying to put you in the box. And so that was something that it's still to this day, it's like PTSD. It's like, that's one of my things is, if I really talk about what I really want to talk about, if I really get into what we want to talk about, I'm still talking on a light level when we talk here, and I'm still trying to build up so that I can talk in a way that is like, if I were to be truly, let's say, paralyzed by fear of the things that I truly am lurking to get to the bottom of and talk about within this spiritual journey, then these episodes are nothing in comparison of how much I truly want to excavate the topics and the depth that me or others that I know or others that just experience these transcendental experiences on the level that we have experienced them. There's no time for the real anxiety or the anxiety that does come up, or the fear or the doubt that comes up, because it's like, it's gotta happen sooner or later. So we might as well get to the bottom of it, because I'm really trying to get to the bottom of what is really moving us and what's moving me. That's so I love how they say this is a moment to evaluate whether you're expressing what sets you apart. Y'all know we did the episode on the distinguished soul versus the separated soul. Are you distinct? And that's what they're hitting on. And when we talk about that, we're talking about integrity. We're talking about authenticity. You can't talk about one without the other, to be honest. But here, we're really asking again, are you distinguished or are you separate? For those that didn't see that episode, what's the difference? The distinguished soul says, I know who I am, and I'm actualized in myself while understanding my part in the whole. That's someone committed to service. That's someone who says, I know who I am, and who I am contributes to that which is, and that which gives me the ability to contribute. That's why I want to contribute. I got to contribute, because that is a quality of life itself. And so the separate self says more like, oh, well, you know, the separate self is really the prodigal son. The separate self even says like, I did this. This is me. Ain't nobody else did, ain't nobody else did this for me. I did, like, and even if that is true on the human aspect, and it still can't be, because again, all is interconnected. Even those that did not give to you in the way that you desire to be given to have given you something that is possibly giving you more of the drive and the reason to do and achieve what it is that you've been able to achieve by holding on to that, than again the way that you wanted to be given to, or that you have been given to by some people that you may have wanted to give things to you. That's powerful in itself. So again, are you distinguished or separated? Do you understand your part within? Really, do you know your role? Even to be trying to understand or figure out your role or deepen your role, that is still understanding our part within the singular unit. Are you someone who's afraid to own what makes you different, weird, or even eccentric? You know it is. You know you weird. You know that you have because this is what's really funny about it. If you are not weird, that's actually weird. Normal and conformity is trying to make it seem like the weird things that make us human is actually weird when that's normal. Conformity is actually weird. So when you think about it, it's like, are you afraid to own what makes you human? And most people are, because we think it's weird. And it may be weird, but again, weird is reality. Wild is reality. I think of Nat King Cole, wild is love. I've thought about that, and I still think about it to this day. What that title, the importance of that title is, wild is love. Wild, and the wild things grow in ways that we would have never thought, because life forms outside of our limited conception or conceptions of what we think life is to be. Y'all getting me to take off again. Or are you someone who's so attached to being an outsider or rebel that you feel alienated or struggle to connect with others? I said, man, the pattern goes crazy, because these are things that you get into when you meditate, when you do therapy, when you have conversations with the real you, with the inner you, with the you that fears being seen, because there are flaws or there are cuts or there are stressors that just, or like 𝗧𝗵𝗲 𝗘𝗰𝗹 says in the Four Agreements, or there's poison that makes you feel, and when more than anything, when touched, or when touched, makes you feel less than and can make you act less than, because you do feel less than, so you think less than. And then you just react out of the past and you go, oh, this happened to me last time when I was friends with so-and-so, or this kind of person, or when I was in this kind of area, this is how it went down. So instantly your alert gets queued back up, or you just spew out and you give that same expression that you once gave, because it has not been dealt with, because of those unresolved emotions, which is going to be the episode after the intuition, utilizing tarot cards to increase our intuition, which is unresolved emotions is toxicity. And what does that really mean? What does that really look like? So it's going to be diving into exactly what I just said. And we're probably going to be walking along and utilizing some of 𝗧𝗵𝗲 𝗃𝗏's book, The Four Agreements, to go further into that. But that's it's so powerful, again, because they gave you both sides of what that can feel like, and it could be more times, but that's the main are you someone who's afraid to own what makes you human, what makes you different, what makes you weird or even eccentric? The same thing that we look up to celebrities or any of those people that are in a position that we desire to be in, that thing that helped them stand out, but was at one point the same thing that had others put them down, had others spit on them, had others kick dust on them, had others just be like, you are not allowed or you don't even belong over here because of that specific thing. That one specific thing may have been it, but that person instead said, why would I allow you to put me down for that which makes me, when the creator gave me that? And on top of that, I done honed into it, I done embraced it, and now that allows me to stand here and say, can't nobody put me down. And this is the thing that I can hold on to, not with some kind of foolish pride, but with one that is of righteousness, really, and go, the creator gave me this. Can't nobody take this. Can't nobody take this. Can't nobody put this down. And the only way, like anything else, that this is going to get like water seeping into the boat, the only way that this is going to get into me is if I let it. You know how many people on the daily, and this is for anybody, but I'm just going to talk from my own experience, how many people on the daily will look at me regardless, and this could be any era of my life, really, because like I said, I done always been weird. I done always had a different style. I done had times where I completely had no style. I done had times where I had great style, meaning I have great style. There's been times where I didn't care about the style that I sat there and I portrayed and put out there. There are times when there's so many different times and so many different eras, so many different me's, personas, that I've been given different kind of looks for all of them. I done been given accolades for all different kinds of them. I done been shunned for all different versions and kinds of them. But at the end of the day, none of that is gonna get in, including the accolades, if I don't allow it to. And what does it mean to the one that does not embrace? Everybody in the world can tell you you're beautiful, but if you think you're ugly, you're gonna continue thinking that you're ugly, you're gonna continue moving like you're ugly, and you're gonna really continue doing in an ugly manner because that's how you feel. And so that's something that I have to talk to about myself on the daily, on the momentarily, like by the minute, by the second, because I have general anxiety. It could be like, oh, okay, time to go to work, or oh, it's time to put the food in the oven. Oh, I don't know, I just start sweating. It's just like, oh, it's time to do this thing, and the stomach starts to cringe in it. But that's a way, and that's a relationship. That's a way that's a pathway that has been tread, that has allowed itself over and over. It's been the same since I had to go to football games at like 10 or 12. And I'm like, oh, I'm about to go play. And I love football. But it's so many, and so that's a personal thing that, and I can sit here and walk through it with y'all, but it's not really for y'all. It's more of an example for me to give to you guys, so then I can tell you, or be the example to say, now what happens next is you say, I know the issue. How do I address it? You meditate with it. You form a relationship with it. You build a new relationship with your issue to become the solution. It's just like Lauryn Hill and her Unplugged. I listened to that I love it. Has so many interludes and she's talking, it's so intimate. And she goes, God was telling me, Lauren, you are the problem. Now, let me show you and tell you how you are the solution. And that's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do. You guys, that's how you gotta work it out. I needed more of a community. Even if this is me, quote unquote, talking to a camera, I needed to build a community. And I'm still in the way of building more. And it doesn't just happen on the camera. It's in an everyday to day. For me, I could be walking down the street with somebody and we could be passing, or we could be walking down the street and something says I'm supposed to talk to them, so let me go and open up. And then that's the person. And it's vice versa. That's the person for me, I'm the person for them. I got what they needed to hear, they got what I needed to hear, and because we are in proper alignment, now we can go ahead and exchange that. And so, I know I feel like I got a little bit, I know I get off on a little bit of a tangent, but Again, are you afraid to own what makes you human, what makes you you, and what is supposed to make you triumph and come out like, I was just listening to 𝗂𝗵𝗲, the I Am tracks, because I just had listened to Les Brown saying, you need to listen to your tapes. You need to listen to the people that's going to have you fortified and feeling like this. Feeling on your Eric Thomas. I'm looking at his book, You Owe You. We need that energy. I'm listening to the tapes. I'm getting amped. 𝗂𝗵𝗲, saying he got the I Am confirmations in 3D. He got like over 1,000 confirmations. And one that I kept hearing and it made me laugh. He said, I am a champion. And it's funny because that's what I am a champion. If we are not feeling like that and fortified, even when we taking L's, we being bombarded, the castle seeming like it's under siege. If we still do not hold our strong position and say, I am still a champion, and whether the castle falls or not, we will stand until the end. That's how we really need to be coming. Are you powerful enough to own that characteristic, that personality, really the whole personality, that which is you, and the projection of the soul that you have chosen to embody? Or are you someone who's so attached to being an outsider or a rebel, separated, not distinguished, but separated, that you feel alienated or struggle to connect with others? Even if you in all they trappings, even if you in all the same things, and you in the same class, and you in the same circles, we know when there's true connection. Regardless of the whole world maybe sitting up thinking something else and maybe completely enamored with your show, the show that you got going on, and y'all believe it, everybody believe it because it just looks so good. and it may actually be good. But again, all that without connection. I was listening to, I'm mad that I'm blanking on his name, but he's a Hall of Fame NFL kicker for the Chiefs, and it was a show called Speak Up, and he was talking about how amazing it felt when he had to kick the winning field goal for for the Chiefs a couple of times. And he said, like, Jack Lambert, the good vet, like, I can't believe the camera cut off. I was going there for y'all, but as I was saying, the kicker, he was just told by Jack Lambert, who was a vet, you better make it, we make 10,000. If you don't, we make like 50,000 extra on the bonus if you do. And so, he did it. And then this highlight moment, he just had literally where you are fulfilled with all these lights. Everybody, he said the whole team came up, bro, ran up to him and hugged him and gave him all these accolades. The crowd's just cheering, and it's really this moment of glory. And then he said it was the most miraculous moment, but the most lonely moment. He said after that, he said everybody walked off the field and it was all over. And he said, so after that, he made sure of two things. And I know I'm gonna butcher the second thing a little bit. I'm not as positive. But the first thing I know, he said he was going to make sure that he had his family there. He had his parents there to see those amazing moments, his moments of glory, because he wanted to share them with the ones that he loved. The second, I believe it was to the effect of making sure that these moments, he actually savored them for what they were in themselves, as opposed to trying to do that in the essence of everybody else, and within that, thinking that that's what it was. And so I take that back to the being lonely. We all as humans, no matter what, understand what it means to be lonely. And so I say that in the sense of that's the separated soul, not being able to truly connect with somebody else. And I don't mean just on the day-to-day, hey Steve, how you doing? Yeah, I'm doing great, Bob, like that kind of way, or even on the just any superficial level. We're talking about soul contact. We're talking about being able to awaken self and do so in someone else. As that happens in that symbiotic relationship, both of you see the soul in the other, and therefore have awakened pure awareness to be able to say, I am, or to be able to say namaste, that the divine me honors the divine you, which we both are. I am. We are one unitary or singular unit, and that is what's really being brought to us here, in that either being afraid to own what makes us different or weird, or are you so on the side of the not distinguished soul, but the separated soul, that you aren't able to truly connect soul-to-soul contact with others. Now is the time to set intentions to find balance, so you can move forward with a firm sense of who you are, because that will attract like-minded supporters and create a community that feels nurturing. Always on point, the pattern. But it's funny because this morning I said I need to write down this, because I got this thought in my head yesterday that these are the 3 things that I know I need to focus on, and if my decision is in alignment with either of these, but really all 3 of them, I know it's the right choice. And then if it's out of alignment with any of these or all 3 of them, I know that is not the move for the most likely, you know. And so those 3, I said them differently, but I changed it over to the ABCs, and that's abundance, balance, and consistency. Those 3 are that's where we start at. That's the little recipe for success. And so, and it came to me in meditation. So I really thought like, those are the things that I know I just need to really work on. And so when it said balance here, I was like, of course. And we just talked about that in a few past episodes and how important it is. And really one of the first times in my body that I felt at complete equilibrium, and I said, is this what balance feels like? And I would like to do this and feel this more. And so I had to start to think really how to develop strategy to experience it more, and that's what I've been working on. And just as important, so you can move forward with a firm sense of who you are. I talked about this right before the video cut off the first time about that whole being alone and what the Kansas City Chief Hall of Fame kicker was talking about, in the sense of that firm sense of who you are, coming from our uniqueness and our link to being authentic. In its highest expression, Aquarius is a free spirit who lives in idealism, with the intention of bringing the highest good to the greatest number of people. That often means seeing the current situation with objectivity and detachment, taking the space to expand past the drama and chaos to come up with innovative solutions and new ways of living. As I just mentioned, me and another family member of mine masterminding, and that's really what is going on. Being able to take ourselves or pull yourselves out of the current situation that you are in, so that you can start to work on and see different ways of being, and saying, this is the way that I actually would desire to live. This is actually where I want to, work in, or the industry that I would like to work in. This is the kind of way that I would like to spend my day. And being able to do that, then say, okay, well, how do I switch the way that I am currently moving and make that more aligned to this other way? And that's why I really like that. And going all the way back to when they mentioned the planets shifting in Pluto. Pluto, and I can't remember the other planet that it was, but saying that these are giving us the energies of idealism and living in new and unimaginable ways before, but that becoming now part of our vision is so beautiful. If you're already objective, avant-garde, and philosophical, this could be a chance to add some heart to your ideas and relate empathetically with others. You're meant to balance your ability to detect. That first part just goes, it just goes hard, and there's a lot of power in that, but I'm just gonna keep going to fulfill what their message is. You're meant to balance your ability to detach and retreat into a calm space with your ability to connect with people, so that your ideas reach and influence your audience. This is what's happening right now as I speak about it, and it's even funny because I've been posting a little bit of my stuff, and it's been actually having more of a connection with the audience. And I've been going, okay, so what is it that I'm doing different? So it's funny because I'm seeing it happen. I'm seeing this universal cycle interlace with some of my personal cycles, and I'm seeing it in real time in the world. I'm going, oh my goodness, I know that they ain't lying because the truth is in front of me. And so it's powerful as I also speak and I also play my part in that truth and co-create with the word. And it's so powerful because that's exactly what they are talking about. So that's why I'm amped up, because again, that's what the magic looks like, and that's what the magic is. The magic is the being able to create, and that's what I was gonna say that's what the manifestation is, and can't remember who I just heard it from, but this is the truth about it. That's what real manifestation actually is. Not saying, oh, keep on reaching out, but it's more of pulling it. It's coming towards you because I already spoke it out. And now those waves from the universe are just coming back in. It's just being at the shore, it's going out, and then the ocean sends it right on back in. And so that's exactly what's happening. And as it happens, as I even say it, it makes me feel so empowered because I'm like, okay, I gotta go harder. I gotta be more consistent. I got to be like, I was gonna go backwards, but I have to be balanced and I have to be abundant. And I actually like going backwards as opposed to the other way, because I realized that lacking the consistency was what was causing me to not have my skills as sharp as they could be, or my character not as refined as it should be, and therefore my balance was being very off. So that's actually how I'm gonna start to look at it, because from there, how can I tap into my abundance if my balance and my consistency is off? And so I think a lot of times we like to start at the other way and say, and we do actually, I want to be abundant, and we think that we should, and we are actually, but through this process, again, that has been unconscious to us, through our conscious decisions, we have really sort of surrendered our abundance to limited beliefs and constructs of the self. So we need to stay consistent first, therefore, to remain more balanced or build up our balance and our equilibrium for us to then tap into our abundance. So y'all gonna hear me talk a lot more about the ABCs, because that's what I'm working on currently, and that's something that I would like to expand on. So it's at the heart of this. We're talking about balance. We're talking about the ability to be able to go within oneself. And that's a consistent practice. People think like meditating is, oh, I can't meditate. I don't know, have you tried 10 days in a row just to meditate with yourself, whether that's 2 minutes or just create the relationship between meditation and what you believe it is outside of what anybody else has. And when you start to do these things, then we start to see, I'm able to pull myself back and say, oh, I was stressed. We think, I'm going to try to make this quick connection. The ego is the I body for the personality, therefore projection of the soul. So we think that is the real I. So we go, I was stressed, when really it's more like, okay, stress was applied around me. And once we are able to pull back from ourselves, we go, I wasn't even stressed. I was entertaining stress. I was aware of stress. I was mingling with stress. I had a relationship with the stress in a way that allowed stress to do me like this. I allowed stress to do me like this because that's how I engage with stress. And we start to, as I even talk about it, you can even hear how it sounds different. It sounds like, wait, stress is a person. It sounds like, again, as I mentioned before, that whole thing and that ability between being able to communicate with others about the way or that we may, quote unquote, personify or conceptualize that which is within our inner processes or processes of life, is something that is really beautiful when we start to engage with our awareness. I still got so many more slides to go. I'm trying to get through this with y'all while giving, All right, if you're more conservative, then take this opportunity to think about what might be holding you back from expressing your most forward-thinking ideas. I love this. Again, I opened up to the collective. I asked for guidance. I was already getting these ideas. This is the reaffirmation. This is the reaffirming of what I was seeing and going, oh, I think that's what's being told to me. And then I saw it here and I'm like, oh yeah, we good to go. So now that I know, let me go ahead and write that, put that in the books, and now let me act on it so I can be in true and full service. Whether that might be cultural conditioning, I said, that's okay, yep, you got me. I've been thinking about that on a daily. Self-doubt, yeah, because who doesn't have it? But I'm like, I've been letting more in than I should, but I've been sort of beating his ass too. Or a need to fit in. I'm like, yeah, obviously. I'm like, okay, the pattern is going crazy, but again, when it says those things, it isn't something just to read and then go, all right, let me keep reading. It's to say, how has cultural conditioning made me start to, again, give up my abundance for limiting conceptions? How has self-doubt allowed me to trade in a little bit more of my abundance for a limited version of myself? Because that's what's really happening. As I talk about it, I'm getting more aware of, dang, that's what I've been doing. I've been saying, here you go, limited me. Here's some abundant me. And limited me been getting strong and powerful, and abundant me been getting little body and been like, I don't know if I can take this anymore. But the true self, which is the abundant self, knows what's really going on. It's just that the limited me done got so big, it think that it's running the show. But we started to break that down, and that's what we all need to begin to really do, is break down that limited version that just says, I am all, which is your matrix. It starts to say, this is all that I am, and this is all that you are, and this is all that you can do, until abundant me says, nah. Not one of those aspects that you just assigned to me is the full me. Therefore, there's so much more that I can be. Therefore, you are a limited version of me. Now, that's when everything starts to dissolve, and we start to say, whoa, let me start seeing what I can really do. And if it's more like you're at a whim of your emotions, or want to merge so badly with others that you don't tend to express your individuality, then this would be the time to intend to add space and objectivity to your life. Again, that ability to pull back and say, let me just check myself out, or let me check this space out. Let me check out what it is. Let me be aware. Let me take, we call awareness the spotlight. Let me take that spotlight or that flashlight and put it on that space and actually become observant of all, not judgmental, observant of all that's going down, so that I can then become aware of possible issues, and then become aware of possible solutions, and then be aware of and start to create strategies to make those solutions possible. In any case, now is the time to set intentions to be conscious of what you want to create. And it's more about getting clear on your mindset. I instantly said, hold up, and it sunk in. And then I read through, but now I reread it again. And it's more about getting clear on your mindset than about committing to something or coming up with a to-do list. So I had just wrote a couple things on my to-do list that I needed to make sure I would take care of. I was just telling myself, you need to commit to this. I just was talking about the only way to transform is through the commitment. The commitment is the satisfaction, is the guarantee for the transformation. The commitment is the transportation to and through the transformation. And so I'm sitting here saying this, and then I read this, I'm like, ooh, they got the pattern. They'll put in a phone call to divinity, and they called me up, and it was like, hey, yo, we got some more to chat to you about those. So I had to reread it again. And in any case, now is the time to set intentions to be conscious of what you want to create. And it's more about getting clear on your mindset. That's all that I've actually been talking about right now, is the dissolving of the mind, of the ego, of the phantom self that we have created, so that once that phantom self, which is like a blockage, for a lot of us, this can be the iPhone. That'd be a great way. A lot of us, our personality and the shadow self is our phone. And we are now putting our profiles and ourself in the phone. So it works this way because it helps with this imagery. I can say, this is my shadow self. Y'all cannot see, you know, and I, more importantly than anyone, I cannot see myself if I'm on this side and I'm trying to build this bridge to myself, but I got the phantom self in the way. So once the phantom self crumbles and you go, and most likely it's gonna happen like this, I have no conception of myself because the I that I thought was me was a fake self. It was full of selfies or full of very adventurous excursions to make me look a certain way, or luxurious things to make me seem, you know, more royal, or whatever it is, or degrees or documents or whatever those things are to make me look more smart. Now there's a me that's present, and it is not defined by just one of those things, nor, you know, a few of those things. It's actually the totality of all of those things, and it's an awareness of that more than anything. And so when we have that happen, then there's this shift. It's almost like a volcano erupting, and I can even feel it in myself because I'm becoming more aware of myself and aware of my journey that I have gone through to get here. And that was the commitment that I made then 10 years ago to define, and really what Waking Wellness really is, and our new tagline, like, it used to be, our purpose is to help you discover yours, but really what we do here is we demystify the divine mystery. And through that, we are a part of that already. Through that, we actually start to see our purpose. That's why we focus on the 𝗧𝗵𝗲 here, because the 𝗧𝗵𝗲 helps us see ourselves and go, I'm in a new light, like the sun just shining on me after the dark. I can now see myself really like the phoenix rising. I see myself in this new light because none of the old stuff is on me. The dirt is off of me. All the dead skin is off of me. I am reborn, and it's through the renewal of the mind. I don't think like I used to think. And because I don't think like I used to think, I don't associate with myself like I used to associate. I don't even think the fake me is me anymore. I know there's a real me. And I know that I can be in contact with it at any time I desire to. And I know that I am in contact with it whenever I desire to and whenever I call. And I actually know it's the control center for what's really going down. So I actually know that I am in alignment with, because that is the messenger from source. So I'm always plugged in, and understanding that allows us to really shift everything. That's what they're talking about. Co-creating our future is saying, I get it. The limited self was the fake me. That's the matrix. It's the me that I thought that I was, and I decided I was going to be, and I allowed to be. But today, it is no more. The matrix is dissolved. We're talking about some real stuff, y'all. And this the new moon in Aquarius. I knew it was gonna be. I was trying to make it a little condensed episode, but whew, I love this. And it's more about getting clear in your mindset than about committing to something or coming up with a to-do list. Ideally, you can move past what hasn't been working in your life. What? Hold on. Before I keep going, let me say that again. Ideally, you can move past what hasn't been working in your life and open your mind to the possibilities you want to see in your future, no matter who you are. If you're a human, that means that you are perfectly imperfect, means that you got some flaws that, yes, were gifted to you so that you can go ahead and make some major shifts in your life, which will create the future that we desire. And so to have a new mind, to have a new slate, you go, of course, I can move past what hasn't been working in my life because I am not that. That is not me. I am not my old transgressions. I'm not my old mistakes. Y'all know we got an episode on that, and that is exactly what we're saying. The future is what we decide we call forth, and that is through intention and attention or awareness. Excuse me. Also, take this moment to release any of the shadow sides of Aquarius. I love that they mention this. These include being so detached that you fail to connect with others emotionally, we mentioned that, or include their viewpoints, or consider what your own heart wants. That one really spoke to me because sometimes I can hear my heart speak, and I've heard my heart before. I've been in direct connection with my heart before, and it wasn't a transcendental experience. I mean, that is what it is in itself. But I was, what did I do? I was a little bit trippy when I did it, but it was happening so much. It reminded me, I had my eyes closed and I had on headphones and I was just outside and the sun was beaming on me. And it made me think of, I know why the caged bird sings, because when the sun was shining on me, it felt like my heart had done like this, and it was like a bird cage. And I just heard birds chirping and fluttering. And I was like, I know I had headphones on, but I can promise to God, I was hearing the three birds that Bob Marley was talking to, because it felt like the chirping was not just in here and piercing more than the music that I was listening to, but in my heart. And I said, I feel a fluttering. And so it felt like birds were just chirping and fluttering within here. And I was like, is this real? And it felt so good that I just wanted to. And I believe that I did start to tear up a bit and I want to start crying. I said, I think something is happening and I think I'm free because this is something. I ain't never felt this good and elated and let go in my heart. And it felt like the sun was in my heart. My skin and everything within was radiating the rays that the sun were giving me. And it was just funny because when this said, or consider what your own heart wants, and that being a shadow side of Aquarius, and just thinking like, how many times and how many of us really go through most of our lives pushing down our heart's content. I thought about that statement the other day when it just popped in my head, like, do it to your heart's content. And I said, oh, I never thought of it like that. But right now I'm so aware, when it was said like that, I was like, to your heart's content. Like that's a different kind of satisfaction, and that's a different kind of awareness, because you have to be aware that your heart is letting you know to do it and to walk through with it. And sometimes that's the most difficult thing. It's like, because I think a lot of us don't feel we deserve it. And so therefore, when it's like, that's the best, this could be the biggest change in my life. This could be the breakthrough. This could be the thing that gets you whatever it is you truly desiring. And that's the same thing that we walk away from or run away from, or we say, okay, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, because we so scared, we so doubtful, we feel so undeserving that we go, well, let me just do it tomorrow. I know it's gonna be there tomorrow. That job application, like, I could do it tomorrow. It's still gonna be there. I can apply tomorrow. Or I could call them tomorrow and say, hey, can I now take that deal you gave me? Or hey, no. If you want it, and you need it, we gotta do it now, and to our heart's content, and our heart ain't gonna lie. And so it's just our mind trying to rationalize and just really keep rationalizing, moving within that same energy of stagnancy and sorrow, and really defeat of being less than what it is that we know we are meant to. And so I just want to make sure, again, like, let's make sure that we release the shadow sides of Aquarius and we get out of that and say, my heart wants this. I don't care what they done told me. They told me I sucked at it. They told me I couldn't do it. Like, and it may even still look like it. But if that's what you truly can envision, what your heart is speaking to you about, then I urge you to sit down with it and really build that relationship so it can begin to happen. As an air sign, Aquarius is more in the mind than the body. You know, I'm a Gemini, I'm an air sign too, so this is definitely our time. Some Aquarius vibes, we love it. And that is the truth. And so this can make it difficult to ground or be present in your senses or in what you're doing physically. And of course, they talking that truth, which can lead to overthinking or being stuck in your head. And so that's powerful in itself, and just a reminder, especially during and coming after them talking about the shadow sides, the shadow sides of Aquarius. We need to remember to ground ourselves. We need to remember to be present here and not just up here, because up here all the time is just a whole bunch of ideas which are amazing and can change the world, but without implementation, without actually making them firm and solidifying them, cementing them, then they're just gonna have their space in the ether. And everything's already up there anyways. So it's like, it's no different than you really, you said, oh, I came up with this amazing idea. You just popped into the ether and into Akasha and pulled something out and pulled some wisdom down. But if you don't ground yourself in your body and this physical presence, then we won't be able to ferment and cement that idea that's really raw and waiting for it to be expressed. But again, it's through the doing, it's the service, it's the act that is going to bring about that joy. Are you clinging to ideals or friendships that aren't serving you anymore? Are you so attached to being different or rebelling that you disconnected from your community? We are talking again about the separated soul. And it's funny even in that last question, because as it asks, I felt that, and especially as I have not been as connected or disconnected with so many people that have been so close to me for really, and I can go into it, but again, this ain't for y'all, but out of straight transparency, it's more out of a lacking within myself and allowing that to be extending out from me. And then, so whether it being, and most actually in like 99% of the cases, a lack of communication. A lack of communication and stemming from the working that I was doing on, and that I am doing on myself. And so through that has, I have been in the separated self through that. And so it's not just like, oh, you've become a distinguished soul and you're not ever going to fall within or have qualities of the separated soul. No, it's always a working, it's just like the good wolf and the bad wolf. We're always working to feed the good wolf so that we can build, but there are times that we do succumb and we do feed the bad wolf, whether through anger, whether through sorrow, whether through any of these things that are going to stop us from being our best self. And that's not to say sometimes, we do need to be sad or have these emotions too, because they all are a part of the human experience. So, but I hope that you guys get what I'm saying. There's an important difference between selling yourself out to fit in and attracting like-minded souls who can support and encourage you. Being yourself doesn't mean you have to always be alone. That's very powerful. And if you are like that, then I encourage you to listen to that, because I can follow along those lines, and that is very powerful. On February 9th at 5:58 p.m. Eastern Time, there will be a new moon in the sign of Aquarius at 2040. The intention of this energy is for you to set intentions with consciousness, awareness, and attention so that you can do important personal and collective work. I've always been talking about the personal and collective cycles, so I'm glad that they're emphasizing this. And accelerate your soul's journey. It's one thing to do the personal work, then it's another thing to do the collective work, and it's another thing to really say, okay, I get it. These are really one and the same. That's how you get some balance, and that's gonna allow us to accelerate our soul's journey so we can get on that track, or again, we're already on the track. We can actually I don't know what's the word that I'm looking for, but we can get that to actually happen in a, again, accelerated pace. This new moon in the free-spirited electric sign of Aquarius comes along with some other powerful astrological influences. Pluto just changed signs to enter Aquarius, and Uranus has just stationed direct, which intensifies its own electric change-making influence. In the next few months, Uranus will align with Jupiter, and there will be two powerful eclipses. These events are pointing toward accelerated forward motion into the future. Again, we talk about the importance of relevancy and relation between planets, between us, between signs, all of that. I love it. So choose wisely while you have the chance. As always, it's essential to be mindful and conscious about what you intend. Every month during the new moon, the sky is dark and the moon seems to have disappeared because the moon is in between the earth and the sun. The shadow side is facing us and the sunlit side is hidden. Symbolically, the empty space in the sky provides an opportunity to set intentions that can grow throughout the month as the moon reappears and eventually reach their peak in 2 weeks at the full moon. I really like that. and I invite us all to actually do this together. Think of this time as offering you a blank slate, because I'm definitely doing so. And if you know the theme of this moon, you can co-create and work with its energy. Be sure to approach these few days with conscious attention because they will influence the rest of the month for you. I love that. And that's been on my mind heavily. And that's why I invite us all to do this together so that we can see in the next 2 weeks, go, wow, the moon's at its peak and I'm ready to harvest. And I am now, this is one way, one strong way that we can practice getting in alignment our personal cycles with the universal cycles. It's critically important to be aware of what you truly want. This is something that I have difficulty with because I have so many different things that I want and that I enjoy and that I want to be a part of, that I want to express. But I found that the more I begin to narrow this down, the more abundance starts to flow directly into alignment with what I actually truly want. I've had to ask myself, is that even what you want? Because you were giving a lot of attention to it and you actually said you wanted it and you thought you did because it was sort of in alignment with this, but that's not what you want. And so as you can continue to define that and truly make that what it is. I had a girl that I used to rock with, and one of the things that's been sticking in my mind lately that she said before we really parted ways was, I hope you truly get what you want. And more than truly get what you want, she said, I hope you truly figure out what you want. That's what it was. And I've been sitting on that for some time. And every time I think about it, it's like a tree that grows and it becomes more fruitful because I then can say, wow, I thought I wanted this, but that's only because that looked a certain way and I just want it. And that sort of seemed exciting, but that's actually not what I want. And now I know that. And that's so powerful. And I thank her for that. It's critically important to be aware of what you truly want because what you seed at this time has the power to affect your life for years to come. That's so powerful. I was just reading the spiritual telepathy and they were talking about the seeds that we can utilize to plant within meditation to actually begin really actualizing our soul and defining our character and personality. And the one that I chose is the will of the soul is my will. And it's so powerful because, as this just said, those seeds that you plant and you really water and you really keep that attention and the focus on, it's going to grow. And when you do it with the kind of focus and amplified vigor and attention that we are talking about, things start to happen. I thought to myself, I was doing my yoga today, this time that I had after I was doing maybe yoga, meditation, all this stuff after maybe 5 years straight, and I said, I almost don't even know who I am. I just feel so brand new every day, but I know exactly who I am, and I'm learning that every day, and I'm expanding out of who I was yesterday. And it was so beautiful because I asked myself, how did I get here? And it was the commitment. It was the dedication. And because I said, it wasn't just one day that I got to this thought. I've had this thought a couple of times, but now it's actually resurfaced as a full thought, and it's asking me to address it so that I can look and I can say, it's actually the journey. It wasn't a weekend, it wasn't a week, it wasn't 2 months, it wasn't even just the 5 years that I was putting in question as a duration. It was all of it. It was the reflecting within the duration. It was the duration itself. It was all of it. And that's really something in itself. I'm not gonna go any further on that. Meditate with that. And I'm gonna meditate with that because that's powerful. Be conscious and deliberate now. I was gonna say, I know y'all hear me using powerful a lot, but that's because that's the word that like I said, the ABCs, that abundance, that's all three of those together is the real power. Be conscious and deliberate now and avoid being distracted by the day-to-day. And that can be so easy to get washed up in the mundane and think, oh my God, I'm going through the motions. And even as I do that, you can see how your energy just sways and just goes to whatever, because that's just how it is. But when we are deliberate and we use conscious, intention on the words that we are choosing, powerful and magnificent, those kind of words, you start to say, whoa, you a little amplified, like what's going on? Because that's what you want to infuse in your life. That is the vigor that we want to infuse in our life. So let's be conscious and deliberate about that. And that is going to cue to the world that we are, and the world gonna say, let me go ahead and give it up, because dude or shorty, they you know, they want it. They not being told no, they are being told, really, that what you put out there, I will offer. And you're going pretty hard, you're pretty vigorous about this. So let me go ahead and show you what it is that you've called for and see if you are ready for that. That way, you can open yourself up to the multiple possibilities in 2 weeks at the full moon in Virgo, when these intentions will take their most potent form. Consider how your sense of self, your autonomy, confidence, and self-awareness has evolved over the past year. I read that and I reread it a couple times. Then I started to do it and I was like, oh my gosh. So please do that. Please pause this and just ask yourself, how has your sense of self, autonomy, confidence, and self-awareness, each of those things, just one way that you can see that they've differed. You may say, I may have not as been open to these kind of foods back then, but I became aware that my taste palette was limited. Or I became aware that I was not as active as I needed to be, so I started to do such and such. And then because I started doing such and such for my self-awareness, I started going to the gym, or I started doing home workouts, and now my confidence is better because now I have a routine that I consistently do, and I know, and it makes me feel better. And we think it just makes us feel better through the working out, and it does, but my aunt just sent us something through the group chat. She's a psychologist, Tony Talks, and she just said that depression and something that's like anxiety, these things are linked, much higher linked, they are linked to low confidence, low self-esteem, low ability to believe that we are able to perform tasks, so many different things. And I just love the messages. I'm like, anytime that I'm feeling depressed, it made me just think, I was like, that's typically what I'm experiencing when it's happening. So we can see how those things that we think about ourselves are affecting our actions, and then vice versa. And then if you just keep allowing that to happen, sooner or later, you'll just be like, it's just always dark. The sun don't never come out, and I don't know how I got in the dumps. Like, think honestly about what energies and people you want to bring into your life, and whether your ideals are connected to your heart, and set intentions to move forward in your own unique way. I love that they said, think about the energies and people you want to bring into your life. And as soon as they did, I started envisioning people I have met and experiences I've gone through, those that I've desired to meet and are on my list to meet and collaborate with, and thinking about how I could get whether in line with those and or rekindle them or strengthen them. And it's just funny because when you do that, you start to shift, and you're now living within that. You're now experiencing that. The mind, they always say, does not experience or know the difference, does not know the difference between, what's actually going on in reality and then what you are, let's say, envisioning. So you're already like, oh, I wanted to meet so-and-so, I'm okay, now I am. Oh, I wanted to work with so-and-so, now I am. And so the mind will come up with those ways. And that's something that I have been now on the day-to-day really bringing myself to awareness about, because there's things that I think about on the daily, and I see it on the billboard within the next hour, or somebody starts to talk to me about that exact thing. And it's so transformative, because you really start to say, wow, my word does have power. Let me watch how I utilize my word, and let me utilize my word for good. And then you start to see how your life begins to become a product of that word in action. And that's not just knowledge, knowing something, that's wisdom, knowing something and putting it in unison with proper application. And then utilizing that to form your own unique way. I love it. Make sure you're able to think and express yourself in ways that are authentic to you. Your aspirations and dreams don't need to look like anyone else's. That's so powerful. I think everybody needs to be told that over and over, really. We need to tell ourselves that, because I think we all, again, pull that dream out from the dream of the world, and that means it's our relatives' dreams, it's our loved, our spouses, or the one we're in a relationship with dreams, and it just becomes in a way where you like, it's like Kanye said, they done stole your dreams and you don't know who did it. Like, you just looking like, is this my dream or is this somebody else's dream? Because I don't remember dreaming this dream like this. And so that is, again, remember that our aspirations and dreams don't need to look like anyone else's. And that's when we actually start to have the fun, because we start to be creative and say, there's things out here for me. There's assignments and work out here for me to attend to. And there is love, and there is experiences, places, food, people that are awaiting and anticipating my arrival as well. During this time, it's helpful to ask yourself the following questions. Are you showing the world your true self? Or do you attempt to fit in with others and be more normal? Put the quotes in now, I love it. And ask yourself these. If you need to pause, please pause and ask yourself these questions. And even if that's just 2 bulletin points or just some kind of, just ask yourself and express with yourself, because that means you meditate and you don't have to close your eyes to meditate. And that is what we really are hoping to foster here, or with Wake and Wellness. Do you try to hide what's unique about you, or are you ashamed of it? I gotta put it out in the open now, and even if I do get ashamed of it, I laugh because I still love it. So I'm like, what am I ashamed of? I think I'm more ashamed of the fact that other people gonna maybe laugh at it, make fun of me, or not understand it, but that's not power. And that don't have nothing to do with me. So I now decide to not be ashamed, but embrace. And now I try to make sure if I see people laughing at me, I try to make sure I look back and I smile and I laugh with them. Cause it's probably, it's not even just probably a reason why you laughing at me. It's obviously a reason because you found one, but I want to let it be known that don't got nothing to do with me. Even if you are laughing at me or it got something on your side to do about me. Ain't got nothing to do with me. Are you surrounding yourself with like-minded people? What qualities and mindsets are most important to you and your friends and your community? Love that. Can you see emotional situations with objectivity, or do you find yourself flooded? Are you able to pull yourself back outside of yourself? Or are you just I'm just so bombarded by it all? Can you zoom out from drama or challenging situations? Can you connect to your heart and show others your true self? Come on, that's some 𝗧𝗵𝗲 talk. Are you comfortable with being experimental or thinking out of the box? Or do you fear putting your message out in the world? Not anymore. I may get that anxiety, but then we get here and we get all tight, we get all amped up, and you change anxiety into excitement. Some suggested actions include: consider doing something that's totally, uniquely about you and isn't in any way connected to the expectations or belief of others. Perhaps this action isn't normal for you or expected of you, or maybe it's avant-garde or leading edge, like that. Alternatively, consider just giving yourself lots of space from others. Think about taking action purely for the purpose of finding a wider or higher vision. That's strong. Choosing activities that don't depend on practicalities or material gain. That's that character definement that we talked about, and refinement. Remember to be yourself, because everyone's already taken. Only you can be you. Use this time to walk through the doors of possibilities and let go of potential fears of what may or may not happen in the future. That's something that I can focus on. And it's like, if you keep focusing on that, I just read something that one of my homies said about my book that he loved. When he read it, he said, yeah, you can't win if you always focused on losing. That's a chapter in my own book. Of course I still do it, but the book is about change, hacking ourselves so we won't be hacked into the normal way or collective mind, and actually learning how to express our higher mind. The future isn't here yet, but your present actions and thoughts influence the people and experiences you attract and ultimately influence the outcome of your life. If you do the work to set your intentions, you can watch them unfold in 2 weeks. During the Virgo full moon, making powerful choices now can set you free to create a conscious future. Everything we've talked about here has been about creating that conscious future. And I really love this episode. This was so powerful. As soon as I read the first slide, I knew that this was going to be a great episode, and that I had to do an episode because I haven't done a pattern episode in a while. But again, this fused the personal and the universal cycles, and they did it in such a way that has me, my ABCs are taken care of. My abundance, my balance, my consistency, my balance, and my abundance is activated because of the C and B's taken care of by showing up here and being able to share that with you all. And so I've been telling myself, and I've now made a pledge with myself to make sure in that commitment with myself to show up here and show up and give you guys what it is that I have utilized and learned and would have liked to get when I had first started, or even was in my intermediary, or even as I feel I've passed my intermediary or intermediate level, and I'm getting more in the higher intermediate/higher levels of this. This is the stuff I love and I need. And so therefore here I am, and I am hoping to build this community around this. I am hoping to build a dialogue around this. I am hoping to build healing around this, and something that makes all of us feel more empowered and more a part of, and like we can contribute, so that those world servers that want to be doing this exact same thing or want to be doing something different but need to hear this so that they can do that more vigorously, I'm here for you all. And I look forward to meeting you, and I look forward to all of us completing our Dharma and the missions that we have set out to do so that we can complete our soul's work and our soul contract. I love you guys. This is Waking Wellness. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. Health is wealth.